Miscellaneous minds, never explaining the minds. Devilish grin for my alias, aliens who respond. Peddling sin, thinking maybe when you get old you realize I'm not gonna fold or demise. I don't smoke crack, motherfucker, I sell it.
What is going on, everybody? This is the Miscellaneous Minds Podcast. I'm your co-host, Boom Arigato, the cat that hands your face a boxing back. And to my left over here is the main man, Houston Nero, the man that makes the fat stacks. Together we form the dynamic duo that won't die. Deadly ideas, run, splice your content, and your girls' only fans.
What is going on, everybody? Before we get into tonight's topic, please make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit. And with that, let's get right into it. So we have an ongoing beef between a promoter and a boxer. What are we talking about here? Turki Alalshikh has been going in on Canelo, and Canelo has been giving it right back. Let's talk about it. Listen, I think it's a precarious situation. Turki wants to set up the biggest fights. He has been adamant that he wants to set up a fight between Canelo with either Terence Crawford or David Benavidez. I'm all here for the David Benavidez fight. I think if His Excellency can make it, I'm all here for it. Let's do it. The Terence Crawford fight, not so much. I made it pretty clear, my opinion on it. Terence Crawford is a phenomenal fighter. He's pound for pound number one. Canelo is the undisputed face of boxing right now. I just think it's too many weight classes up. I don't think Canelo's going to get any credit if he were to beat Terence Crawford. I think people would give him 1,000,001 excuses. And if Terence Crawford were to win, which is a possibility, Terence Crawford would get all the accolade in the world. He'd be, so on and so forth. So I don't think Canelo stands to really gain anything from it. Now, with that being said, the beef between Turki and Canelo is getting hard for, I'm going to say, Turki, and there's a number of reasons why. I think Turki, when he came in with his boundless amounts of money, he came in and started paying fighters who normally don't have a phenomenal payday. Don't get me wrong, the Terence Crawfords of the world, the Errol Spences, the Sean Porters, the David Benavidez, and so on and so forth. All the people that are stars, they get paid a decent amount of money, but they don't get paid Canelo money, and that's the difference. And I think because Turki came in and he's like, I'll start throwing around 3 million, 4 million, 5 million paydays, without any questions. It made it easier for everyone to get paid, and everyone's happy. Here's the problem. You can't throw that type of money at Canelo because Canelo makes way more than that. So I think Turki's used to hearing yes all the time because he has a lot of money. And Canelo's not even saying no. He's saying, hey, man, back up the Brinks truck and let me get at it, and I'll do the fight. But Turki doesn't want to pay that much. So he's getting a no when Turki wants to hear a yes. Now, here's the problem with that. You're the one asking to make the fight, my man. You got to understand that if you want something from someone else, you're going to have to pay their price. I quoted this a couple of times. I told my man this quote not that long ago. If you have something of value, make sure you get as much as you can for it. And if the person that you're trying to get paid from doesn't want to pay your price, then it's not that valuable to them. So I give it to them. It's a little bit of a quote that's kind of stuck with me throughout the years. Kind of valuing yourself and making sure you get your money's worth for your own value. And I think it's one of those concepts that Canelo knows that Turki's got money. We all know Turki's got money. I don't think it's not that he can't pay the money. It's Turki doesn't want to pay the money, the $200 million that Canelo has asked for to fight David Benavidez. With that being said, listen, dog, if you want to fight that bad, you're going to have to back up the Brinks truck. You got to make a generous offer. And here's the thing. I think Turki, for as smart as of a man that he is, I think he's set himself up to not win this negotiation. And let me explain why. Let's say Turki keeps going out there like he has been and says, Canelo is being unreasonable. He's asking for $200 million. That's insane. Canelo can come back and say, okay, give me 150. If Turki still says that's insane, Canelo can be like, okay, give me 120. At that point, it looks like Canelo's trying to negotiate, where Turki just keeps saying no. So why would he give it to him? I think it's one of these concepts where, listen, man, you're asking something from him. Canelo isn't asking something of you. And again, I know some people are going to jump on here and say, all you're doing is dick riding Canelo. Blah, blah. Listen, I want the fight between Canelo and Benavidez made. I want it. I want to see it. But if you're going to come in and you're going to back up the Brinks truck for everybody else, the man that's the face, undisputed, everyone acknowledges it, why would he not ask for way more than everybody else is getting? It's just normal. And the thing is, a lot of people have said it. The reality of it is, Canelo's going to get paid no matter what. Whether Turkey wants to pay him that money or not, he's gonna keep getting these paydays. So the truth is, whether you like it or not, my man, you need him more than he needs you. Very recently, Turkey had his first inaugural card in LA, and a lot of people out there, a lot of boxing commentators as well as boxing reporters have commented that Turkey lost $11 million on that endeavor. Your negotiating power is waning, my man, whether you like it or not. Those types of figures are waning. Now, on September 14th, Canelo's fighting Berlanga, while at the same time going up against the UFC, Turkey, as well, because Turkey is funding the UFC Noche fight card. So it's one of those concepts that Turkey's putting a lot on the line, man, to see if he can get one over on Canelo. And, maybe the entirety of the UFC, the inaugural event for the Sphere, which is already an attraction, and the Turkey money, maybe all of that can dethrone Canelo. Maybe not. It's going to be a tough negotiation for the Turkey if he doesn't pull out something decent here. What do you think about that, my man?
Listen, man, it's one of those things that I remember you telling me about this a little bit ago, is that never undersell yourself for more than what you believe that you're worth. And look, it's not even Canelo's himself that's saying what his worth is. It's the people around him. Forget anybody in boxing. Forget the Turkey. People outside of even the boxing realm acknowledge, like, even though they don't want to, and not non-direct words, they acknowledge Canelo is actually worth more than what he's letting on. Let me explain that. The fact that every single time that Canelo has his fights, they're usually around two specific holidays, Mexican Independence Day and Cinco de Mayo. And who is the one person that tries to compete for fight revenue on those days? Dana White. And always, when he tries to build up his Mexican stars, it's always on those specific days. Don't you think that's a little bit coincidental? And think about it. Usually when those happens, the UFC revenue for those days kind of middles out compared to the rest of their days. It has nothing to do with not having enough Mexican stars, because they have enough to build off of. Not nowhere near as much as the star power of Canelo Alvarez, because again, even though Canelo's numbers on those specific days don't do as much as when UFC tries to promote their events, the UFC suffers more on that end than Canelo does on his end. No matter what, Canelo makes good money during those fights. UFC does not as much. And compared to that, it's one person. The UFC as an entire federation has to rely on some of those days that they have to compete with Canelo Alvarez on those days. So an entire federation suffering on those specific days just because of one person alone, one star power. You kind of say the quiet part out loud and saying one entire federation on one specific fight, they can't compete against one man. And keep in mind, maybe it's not just Canelo Alvarez. Maybe it's the people he's fighting. No, it's been consistent that every single time that Canelo Alvarez fights on those specific days, Mexican Independence Day and Cinco de Mayo, the man does numbers no matter who he's up against. So you have to think the common denominator is Canelo Alvarez. And the fact that, again, Dana White says the quiet part out loud, and that he always has to compete on those days. Again, it's one specific person. The one common denominator on that is Canelo Alvarez. So it's not even in the boxing, even outside of the boxing realm, the man does numbers. Not even in a sport that he's even taken a part of, that he's in a competition with. So all of that to say is that two very different people. One that's now become a prominent member in the boxing world as a promoter, and the scary amount of time that he's been doing that, has all the money at his disposal, and he can't and he's having difficulty trying to negotiate with one man, and even one person that's outside of the boxing realm that has trouble with one man specifically tells you everything you need to know about his worth. Whether you want to diminish his value as a boxer by saying he's ducking Dave Benavidez, which I'll give you, to be fair, is a fair argument. I'm not going to deny you there. I'm not going to be completely biased in this. But you can't deny this man does numbers not even by other people's standards outside of his own realm. And the one thing you can't deny is that you can call Canelo everything you want. You can call him a boring fighter. You can call him a coward. The one thing you can't call him is broke at the end of the day. Whether you want to deny it or not, you can call him anything under the sun. The one thing that you cannot say is that Canelo doesn't do numbers. And I think that's the entire crux of all of the things that's been going on with us.
Listen, man, when you look at any time that Dana White tries to compete with Canelo, he has to absolutely stack his card, man. Top to bottom, he has to have phenomenal fights to beat one fight. Because I'll admit, generally speaking, when Canelo has fights, the cards aren't that stacked. He doesn't have a whole bunch of good undercards. Yeah, there's the occasional good one and stuff like that, but for the most part, everyone tunes in for the Canelo fight. Now, with that being said, listen, the fact that the entirety of the UFC organization, a stacked card, because the card on UFC Nostra is going to be stacked, and the fact that Turkey's putting all this weight behind it, I feel like they're trying really, really hard to dethrone Canelo. And listen, it might work. It might work. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm not saying that they don't stand the chance. Again, the UFC is a strong organization, along with another individual who has an endless amount of money. So I'm not saying that it can't happen. What I am saying is look at the optics of it, of these people wanting to dethrone someone who to this point has not been, because whether it's a stacked card or not, the numbers that Canelo does, generally speaking, outweigh what the UFC does. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that UFC fighters, there's a lot of star power there. They just don't have the star power that Canelo Alvarez has. Here's the part that's making it difficult, and really the crux of this video, is that Turkey is trying to bring down Canelo's value so that he can better negotiate with him, so that he can get the fight. My man, if you bring down the man's value, essentially you're going to be paying more for something that you're diminishing. It literally does you no good. If anything, listen, I get it. Maybe $200 million is too much. I'll be the first one to say that. That sounds like an insane amount of money for one fight. I'll concede that. I'm not even going to argue that. The problem is that you're going to have to pay him a decent amount. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's going to be above 100. I think whatever number they settle on is going to be above 100 million. I'm personally, and this is the reason why I said this as the third number, I'm going to say it's going to be 120 million. That's my personal belief, that it's going to be 120 million or above that he's going to pay him. I don't think it's going to be quite 200. Maybe he gets to 200 after, endorsements, after everything else. Maybe he gets 200. But I think 120 million plus is what Turki Alalshikh is going to end up having to pay if he really wants to make this fight happen. If Turkey's not involved and it's just David Benavidez and Canelo working in the background to make the fight happen, I do think Canelo is going to pull in somewhere in the area of like 60 to 80 million. But listen, it's going to be interesting. I think that the Turk is not negotiating this right. Yes, he was able to do a lot of big fights, but again, these are people that generally speaking don't make that type of money, so it's a lot easier to negotiate with them anyway. It's getting interesting. The most recent thing that Canelo said is, I don't like the way that this man talks, basically saying, look, Turkey, you need to have some fucking respect, which, whether you like it or not, man, if you want something from the man, yeah, you got to come with them with some respect. So we'll see how it goes. It's definitely heating up. It's getting interesting. I think there's no losers here, because at the end of the day, we're all getting exciting content, so it'll be a good time. And we'll see what happens on September 14th. Anything else you want to add to that, my man?
I think that's it out of me.
And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you on the next one.